What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show here on Sherdog.com. My name is Sean Sheehan, and today I'm looking ahead to One Championship 167, which goes down in the Impact Arena in Bangkok, Thailand on June 7th. And it's, again, a smorgasbord of different martial arts from One Championship. I'm obviously going to concentrate mostly the mixed martial arts today, as I'm the mixed martial arts guy, and we're the mixed martial arts website here in Sherdog. But there's some fun other stuff there as well, no doubt about it. And I think I spoke the last time I did a One Championship preview, or maybe it was even the review, and about it being, and I say this a lot, I suppose, but it being a very interesting time for the chasing pack. And I think that's even more so now. I feel like PFL slash Bellator has kind of maybe hit a little bit of a rough patch over the last few weeks, and people are like giving a bit of criticism, and are like, you know, we obviously saw the Musasi situation and the Douglas Lima situation. Now they have been rectified, but it feels like there maybe is a little bit of space here for the likes of One Championship to like say, well, you know, we're still here and we can offer good stuff, and there is some very, very good stuff on this. But yeah, it does feel like the kind of anointing of PFL as the number two hasn't maybe gone as well as I suppose everyone expected, and certainly not as well as they have expected. And maybe, as I said, there is a bit of an opening. Now, what does that mean? What does an opening mean? Just to gain a bit of popularity, or even to, you know, to gain not just popularity, but gain like hardcore popularity, if you want to put it that way. Now, the hardcores do like One Championship. I think it's not One Championship, but on some good fights, and especially if you're a fan of all of the martial arts. If you're just an MMA fan, you know, like I was starting out, I suppose, and didn't maybe, you know, grow to love it, kind of like as I have, to be honest. Maybe you feel differently, but for me, and I think for a lot of the people who are tuning in and have been tuning in to watch One Championship for the last while, you can see what they're trying to do with a lot of these fights. There's also a lot of fighters that are, and you know, grapplers even, and some of the Muay Thai people, where and I've mentioned this with One Championship many times, but they pop up every few weeks, and you get used to them, and you know them, and you know, even like the Ruotolo brothers, like someone like me who's an MMA guy, I wouldn't watch jiu-jitsu to save my life. You know, I know more about those lads than I know about probably 50% of the UFC roster now, never mind the PFL Bellator roster and all that. Now, I know a lot of the Bellator roster and PFL because I'm doing these every week as well, but you get what I mean. I think One Championship, with a few little adjustments, are like, can be the, how would you put it? The hardcore's delight, let's put it that way. Now, there's some people that are never going to like anything that's not the UFC, right? And there's some people that are gonna, you know, only like the UFC and maybe the PFL and stuff like that. And that's always gonna happen. But like, that's nothing got to do with One Championship or anything like that. And I think if they continue to put on good cards and even expand that, there's a widening of the audience that will watch good mixed martial arts and will appreciate it and will talk about it. And I think One Championship can really get more into that audience. Like I mentioned, they can do a couple of things. Like the biggest thing is put on more mixed martial arts, I think. Now, I'll give it to One Championship. They have been trying. There's no doubt about that. You know, Chatri said it himself. And I think he has attempted to deliver. There's been a lot of injuries. Even the 166 card, there was a lot of injuries on that and stuff. And look, there's only so much you can do when that happens, and bits and pieces of bad luck. So I do think there has been a little bit of a change, but is it a big enough one? I'm not so sure. If you want to be just, and they don't want to be just an MMA organization, but if you want to be one of the biggest MMA organizations, you have to, I think, concentrate on mostly MMA. And if you look at this as well, you can't say this about this card. The top few matchups are, you know, Muay Thai, kickboxing, submission grappling, and Muay Thai again, before you get to an MMA fight with a jiu-jitsu guy in it. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes, because I think we're still in a phase with One Championship where they obviously over the last couple of years they have changed to become more of a martial arts organization. Now, they always had a bit of the martial arts, but less a complete mixed martial arts organization, more martial arts. And maybe that works for them. Maybe that's the way they want to do it. Obviously, that's not as expensive maybe to do as well. And in these challenging times, could you blame them for that? Who knows? But yeah, let's get into this card. I'm always fascinated by that. You look at, like, I'll say it again, they're chasing back the UFC or the UFC. We know what the UFC are doing. They're, the UFC are trying to cut costs too. They're trying to get the Denice Contender Series people in on, 10 and 10 contracts. No interest in signing the biggest talent in the world unless the biggest talent in the world sign for a price. And they'll continue to go forward as the juggernaut because they know it's the Saturday night. It's your Premier League, it's your NBA or your NFL or whatever it is. You're going to tune into it. That's what they are. But for the rest, I think it's very interesting to see who can find a placement, who can find success and prolonged success. Now, One Championship have been around for a very, very long time, more than most. So they're, leading the pack that way. But it'll be very, very interesting, as I said, watching this sport over the next 2 years to see the route. I think a lot of them, like with One Championship, obviously the martial arts as well as the mixed martial arts route. With PFL Bellator, we have, the tournament route as well as the normal fight route as well as the champion series route, and then like one fight to get to the championship type of thing that they're doing. We'll see will all of that work, and we'll see how it goes over the next while. But let's get into this card because it's a very interesting one. I'll just touch on the top couple here, and we'll get down to the MMA then. In the main event, it's the featherweight Muay Thai World Championship versus Joe Nadawat versus Tawan Shai. I watched a fair bit of the two of these over the last while, and all I'll say is, you better bring your hard hat if you're watching this one, because these lads are two lads fighting out of Thailand as well. I wonder what way the crowd will go. That'll be very, very interesting. But two lads who will absolutely go at it. And obviously the champion Tawan Shai will be looking to defend the belt there, and that should be interesting. Then Rodtang against Denice in the kickboxing. Heard a lot about Purich over the last while. A lot of people thinking off a lot of him. I watched one or two of his fights recently, and he seems to be one of those guys. He's a lot more, I think, of and he's from fighting out of Bosnia Herzegovina, but in Canada as well. But he's he's always described like the European boxers, very tight technically. That's, to me, Purich is like that lovely body shot, lovely jab and all, whereas Rodtang has all of that too, don't get me wrong, but he's obviously more of the Thai style, and this is in kickboxing as well, so it's a little bit different. You're not taking in, you have to adjust that Thai style, I suppose, to fight under the kickboxing rule set, with the bigger gloves and everything like that. So interesting one there in that one as well. Submission grappling, Mikey Musumeci. Always fun to see Mikey Musumeci against Gabriel Souza. Again, I'm not giving you a jiu-jitsu breakdown here. And you've the bantamweight Muay Thai Liam Harrison against Kasui Kiteono. I think I saw Katsui once. It's very fast and limber and hits you from all angles. And we know Harrison, the One Championship promotion seems to be very centered, or not maybe centered. What's the opposite of centered? Like the moon of the center is around the UK, it feels like. Satellited? Would that be the correct phrase? Anyway, we'll go there. Yeah, I think it actually is. Like a satellite town, or yeah, I'll go with a satellite around the UK, and obviously a lot of fighters from the UK, and if people don't realize, Sky Sport, One Championship is on Sky Sports here, and Sky Sports is massive, and I've seen a lot of the One Championship people, especially all the usual guys from the UK, Liam Harrison included, who have been featured on Sky Sports News, especially, which is massive. I suppose, I don't know, is there an equivalent in America, but it's probably like your sports center, but like we have a 24-hour, not that I'm from the UK, but I'm annexed to I'm a satellite of the UK. Maybe that's the wrong word. Anyway, we have like a 24-hour sports center that people, your local barbers, or, you have a half an hour before you go to work, or you come in from work, or you throw on the Sky Sports News, and, you see a lot of the One Championship people, but not only that, and I think mostly it's their online Twitter and Instagram and all of that, which is absolutely massive in the area for one championship and for people like Liam Harrison. So very interesting, very good to see Liam on this again and in a tough fight against Kade. Right, let's get to the mixed martial arts, and the first one is Kade Ruotolo versus Blake Cooper. And this is obviously very, very interesting. Kade Ruotolo making his mixed martial arts debut, if I'm not mistaken here. The long-time submission grappler. He's 26-2 in grappling, which is an unbelievable record, obviously. But this is going to be his mixed martial arts debut. He's taking on Blake Cooper, who is 2-1, but the one loss was to Maurice Vetti in his last fight, which was very, very tough matchmaking for a guy who's only 2 fights into his career against Bevi, who, you know, at the time was, what was he, like 6-1 or something like that, but a very, very good prospect. He beat Leping Yang after that fight which just shows the level he's at. Even the Halil Amir fight, you know, Halil Amir to me is one of the 2 or 3 best prospects. I know he lost his last fight, but to me, he lost his last fight to the best prospect in one championship. So it's been a tough enough start to Blake Cooper's career in one championship in terms of these of his first 2 fights in one championship. Actually, had a fight in Cage Warriors as well, funnily enough. But yeah, the point is, he'll take tough fights all over the place, and this is another one here. First of all, I suppose on Cooper, because we've seen tape on Cooper, and I watched him a few times. This guy is a wrestler. You know, he wants to get in there and he wants to wrestle. I was looking back at my notes in the Maurice Bevi fight and watching a bit of it. You know, it was the guy who was I wrote in my notes, and maybe we'll see how unfair or not it is maybe in the future, but I described him as a one-dimensional wrestler, and I don't know whether that's fair or not, especially when he's going in there against Kade Ruotolo. He can throw a punch, but it's not what he favors. Let's be honest here. Now, if you're fighting Kade Ruotolo, you should probably favor that no matter how good or bad you are at it. So that is, I suppose, the conundrum here. On Ruotolo, the other side, look, how much are we supposed to know based on the fact that he's never had a fight? You know, it's been all jiu-jitsu matches, but watching his jiu-jitsu matches, it's actually, I'm making a point here, and it's actually more so his brother Ty, but him as well. A lot of their jiu-jitsu matches recently, and I've probably watched, 10 or 12 of them over the last couple of years. It feels like they're turning into bits of fights early, because people don't want to go to the ground with them, and then they want to make it hard on them. And there was one night, both of them, or maybe it was back-to-back events even, where I was looking at, like, This is turning into a bit of a shoving match here, and they're almost getting punched in there. And I think that, okay, you're not getting punched like in an MMA fight, but it's a good way, a good base of a jiu-jitsu way to start for MMA, I think. So they've been in rough and tumble enough matches over the last while. Look, Kade Ruotolo wanted to step in. Was it against Shinya Oki last time out, the Sage Norcott time? And he was 100% legit about stepping in. So he's been thinking about MMA. I actually talked to him on a press conference. It was probably 2 years ago, maybe now at this stage. And I don't think it was me who asked, but I was listening to the press conference, and he said, at that stage, I'm all about it. I want to make my MMA debut in, I think he might have said 2024, maybe in 2025, maybe he said, but he's making it now. So this has been this has been a glint in his eye for a long time. I'm interested to see what he looks like. I'm interested to see, can he strike? Will he strike? If he goes out there and strikes at Cooper, as I said, Cooper isn't exactly Manny Pacquiao or Floyd Mayweather in there, but like, he can throw a punch. Can Ruotolo throw a punch? Can he throw a jab? Can he defend well? Be very interesting to see. But we all know what he's going to be like on the ground. He's going to get it there if he can get it there. And if if Cooper takes him down, certainly, as I described him as a wrestler, it will be very much attack. Whether it's a leg, a rear naked choke, whether it's taking the back, whether it's going for an armbar, kimura, whatever it might be. This is one of the, I'm no expert in it, but this is one of the greatest grapplers in the world, and probably one of the greatest grapplers the world has ever seen. So you don't want to get there with him. But if you're a wrestler like Blake Cooper, what do? Maybe you back your wrestling and you get on top. Probably not a great idea, but very interested to see how it works out. And I'm very excited to see Kade Ruotolo making his debut here in the in mixed martial arts. The next fight I want to talk about now, Ben Tynan against Mauro Cerilli. This fight is it's up on one website and it's not up on another website in terms of the one championship. So I'm going to talk about it anyway. If it's not, feel free to fast forward if this fight has been cancelled by the time that this video comes out. But it's a very, very, very good fight, and I don't think it's been announced too long. So hopefully it is happening. But Tynan and Cerilli are, you know, two of the best heavyweights in one championship at the moment. You know, Cerilli had a couple of losses to Amir Ali Akbari and Arjun Sangbola, but he came back and he beat Paul Elliott, beat him down really in the last fight. Whereas Ben Tynan on the other side of it is remaining undefeated 6-0, but he's 30 years of age and he kind of needs to make that move. So this is a big opportunity. He's had 2 fights in one championship, both have been finishes. The Ji-Won Kang fight, I thought that was a potential banana skin for him. Kang is an unbelievable striker. Didier Din, I thought I did think he was going to win that one pretty handily, and he did. And his wrestling is phenomenal. You know, I think he was Canadian champion wrestler, and you know, that's the way he fights. Whereas Cerilli, you know, Cerilli's been around since God was a boy. He was the Cage Warriors champion. You know, he fought my countrymate Carl Moore years and years ago now at this stage, back in 2018. Feels like longer, to be honest, but he's been in one championship ever since, and he's fought. I mentioned the lads he already fought, but you know, he also fought Brandon Vera and others as well. So Cerilli is one of those guys who hits you stay hit. You know, 10 knockouts in his career out of 15 wins. Only gone to decision 5 times in his career. You know, has been knocked out a couple of times and submitted once and won by submission once as well. He is not the fastest guy in the world, right? But he is the type of guy that he's a pure block, like, as we'd say here in Ireland. Like, you might hit him, but he's definitely going to hit you harder than you hit him. You know, you'd almost have to hit him twice as hard as he hits you to have the same effect. You know, he's one of those guys, an absolute tank of a man altogether. I did notice though in recent fights, especially the Ali Akbari fight, that it's I think it was the Ali Akbari fight. Yeah, the wrestling can be a bit of an issue with him. Now he can wrestle himself offensively, but defensively that can be an issue. So Tynan, that's perfect for him. You know, he fought. Tynan fought against Will Johnson, who had fought in Bellator before he came in, and he looked very good wrestling against him. Very good wrestling against Kang and Didier as well. And you just think if he can reproduce that, you know, it might be enough here. I believe this is in a ring as well, which is a big benefit to him. Not the best on the feet, but did improve last time out from what I remember. And it's something he does need to improve. Great ground and pound, vicious ground and pound, very good control. He's, you know, trains with Curtis Blades, and he's a very high ceiling as a heavyweight, only 6 fights into his career. But as I said, 30 years of age, he needs to get going now. But yeah, if that fight's happening, I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm picking Tynan. I should probably have been giving my picks all along here, shouldn't I? We'll go with Tynan. We'll go with Ruotolo. We'll go with Harrison Musamechi. I'll go with Radtang, and I'll go with Tawanshai there as well. Right, the next fight, there's a couple more actually non-MMA fights as well. So we have Sichitai against Masaki Naori in the featherweight kickboxing, and we have Johan Ghazali. There's a lot of talk about him against Win Trandai in the flyweight Muay Thai, as well as Johan Estepinian against Zafir Sayak in bantamweight Muay Thai. The next fight I want to talk about, though, is Denice Zamboanga against Noelle Grandjean. Very, very unfortunate. Obviously, Stamp was supposed to fight Denice Zamboanga in this fight. I interviewed Denice a few weeks ago and all, and I was really excited about that fight, like massively excited. And it's an absolute shame. You know, Stamp got injured. There was video of her in in the hospital and everything. Very, very, very unfortunate altogether that one hasn't been able to come together. But this is a really, really, really good fight, and I really like it. You can't doubt Grandjean, Noelle Grandjean, and what she's done over the last while, and the amount of fights she's had stepping in, and it feels like moments notice multiple times and everything like that. You love a fighter like that. That's how you kind of build your reputation. That's how you kind of go to the next level, and that's how you make people, I suppose, love you as a fighter. Now you're stepping in a short notice and you're taking on some of the best people in the sport. Like last time out, she took on Chichiro Sawada, and I believe that was on short notice, if I'm not mistaken. And it was her 1, 2, 3, 4th fight in one championship. She fought Victoria Souza before that, Soliol Kim and Leah Bevins as well, and Grandjean is an interesting fighter. There's no doubt about it. She's a very good wrestler, very good ground and pound judoka, and she can give you problems. There's no doubt about that. A person like Zamboanga, she can definitely give problems to. We saw in the Sawada fight, like Sawada. If you don't know Chichiro Sawada, very, very good wrestler, like a fantastic wrestler. You click onto her page on Sherdog or wherever you click onto it, and she's wearing a wrestling outfit, and that tells you an awful lot. She beat Nia Nakimura and Jean Razawan before that, so it tells you like the level that she's in her career. And Grandjean did a good job in that fight. She did a very, very, very good job in that fight. And I don't think she won the fight, but she was well in it in the fight that scored as a whole. Now, watching Zamboanga, I was really impressed with her. It was kind of the first time. Now, I watched bits and pieces of her before, and the So You Ham fights especially, but kind of watching her for fighting someone like Stamp and fighting someone at that level, and she hits very hard and is really, really, really fast. I was very surprised to see she's only 2 knockouts in her career. Like, really surprised. The way she uses her jab, the way she moves around that jab with quick feet, coming back in, picking the right shots, the angles. I'm a massive fan of Denice Zamboanga. Really, really, really am. And I think she'll need to use all of that against Grandjean, because if she doesn't, she'll get put in her butt. Let's be honest here. That's exactly what Grandjean will want to do here, in my opinion. Now, Zamboanga, funnily enough, and maybe when you're fighting Stampy, won't want to be doing this, but she said her wrestling is something she wants to use and has an advantage on. And it's funny, sometimes people look at fighters as wrestlers, and sometimes people look at them as strikers. We should be looking at them as well-rounded fighters. But it's hard for me to look at someone as good as her with her movement on the feet and look at them as a wrestler. But she can wrestle as well. There's no doubt about it, and is very good there. But I would think Grandjean, with that French background, we know the judokas in France are fantastic, and that's where that background comes from. I think it's going to take Zamboanga an awful lot to stay away from her, an awful lot to stay safe. But you know what? She impressed me so much. I think she has enough to do it. I would not at all be surprised if Grandjean came in here and wrecked the party and won this fight, because she is going to win one of these fights. There's no doubt about it. When they keep putting her into these tough fights, she will win one eventually. I firmly believe that, because I respect her game an awful lot and her as a fighter an awful lot. And I don't think this will be the one. I'm going to pick Zamboanga to win it. But do not rule out Grandjean whatsoever. There's 2 more mixed martial arts fights to mention then in this card. One of them is very, very interesting. Adrian Lee, obviously from the Lee family, is making his MMA debut here. He's taking on Antonio Mamarella, who is out of Italy. He's 1-0. He got a finish back in 2023. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find that tape, and Adrian Lee as well he's only a young man, and I'm sure he had a lot of amateur stuff as well. Not too much tape out in O&O guy as well, so we're very much turning up to this one and seeing how it goes. But look, I was talking to who was I talking to? I don't know. I was talking to someone recently, and it was my good friend Dean O'Neill I mentioned earlier, and he made the point to me about One Championship that, like, the Lee family was really the heart and soul of One Championship. And the fact that they were kind of ripped away from the promotion, we all know, obviously very, very sad with the death of Victoria Lee, and obviously Christian hasn't fought since, and Angela retired. It's been a really tough time for One Championship, obviously, you know, as well as the bigger and wider and more important issue of the family. But when you have the heart and soul of your company kind of ripped out, it's very tough. And it's great to see Adrian back here, and it's great, like, martial arts and mixed martial arts can be, you know, it can be a savior, it can be something happy, it can be something positive, and hopefully that can be the case again for the Lee family. And you know, I'd love to see Christian back, and you know, if Angela decided to make a comeback, I'd absolutely love to see that as well at some stage. But I respect all the decision made. But to see Adrian coming in here and doing the family proud as well, I read an article about him today. He's supposed to be you know, a really good young guy as well, so very, very interested to see him and him making his debut here on this one. So yeah, let's we'll see how that one goes, and we'll see how Mamarela looks as well. It's very tough, you know, big arena show like that, making your pro debut, or even having a second pro fight like Mamarela. So it's very much not easy, but we'll see how that goes. And the last MMA fight I want to mention is Itsuki Hirata against Victoria Souza. Again, a fight that very much could have title implications down the line here in the atomweight division, as we see you know, Zamboanga obviously fighting Grandjean here with Stamp injured. It you know, very well could have a number one contender decided, or you know, one or two away from it. Now, it's not been the best time in the world for Hirata. I think after that Laney Quinn win, myself and maybe a lot of people were thinking, you know, win one more, maybe win two more, and you're you know, towards the title shot. She lost to Razvan before that, but she was on, what was she in, 6-1 in her career. But unfortunately, she lost the last two times out. Two close enough decisions to Mauro and Sheehan. So she'll be very much looking to get back to winning ways here. I mentioned earlier about Victoria Souza. She lost to Nicole Grandjean her last time out. It was only in March, that fight, but you know, and you know, to bring Victoria Lee into it, she actually fought Victoria Lee back in 2021 and ended up losing that fight. But you know, she won 2 fights. After that, went out of One Championship, came back into One Championship, and is now 1-1. Again, you meet Grandjean, tough fight. You meet Hirata, tough fight. And it'll be very interesting to see where this goes. Look, she's well rounded, a couple of knockouts and a couple of submissions in there as well. You know, Hirata at the other side of it, then very, very strong. I always describe her as a fundamental fighter. Looks for her takedowns. Her kicks are one thing that are very good, but sometimes she throws too many of them and gets caught and gets, you know, sometimes taken down herself. Lovely straight right, likes a low double, needs a little bit more variation is the one thing I would say for her there. But it's an interesting fight. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'll pick Hirata in that one, and we'll see how it goes, I suppose, other than that. But yeah, that's the top and bottom of this One Championship card. As I said, a lot of the big names. Look, when you lose Stamp from the card, it's a big issue. But you know, you have Tynan Cerilli, very good fight. You have Rodtang on the card. You have Tawanshai on the card. You have Mutsumeshi on the card. You have Liam Harrison on the card. You have Kade Ruotolo in MMA. You have Hirata, as well as the rest. So I'll be tuning in, looking forward to seeing it, and you probably should too. I will leave it there. Thank you very much for watching this video. My name is Sheehan for Sherdog.com, and I'll see you all next time.